In November of 1970, a father and his two daughters were hiking in a remote valley in Norway. The locals had a name for the place. They called it the Ice Valley. Among the rocks, they found the remains of a woman. She had no identification, no name, nothing to say who she was. But what investigators slowly realized was stranger than any missing name. This woman had spent the final weeks of her life making sure she could never be identified. This is the case of the Isdal Woman and the secret she took with her. The valley sits just outside Bergen on the western coast of Norway. It had a grim local reputation. People said those who went in didn't always come back. On the 29th of November, 1970, that reputation found a new chapter. A man and his two daughters were walking a trail when they came across the scene. Around the woman lay a strange collection of objects: an umbrella, melted plastic bottles, the remains of a packed lunch, and what looked like the cover of a passport. Investigators noticed something immediately. Someone had tried to remove every trace of identity. The labels on her clothes had been cut out, not torn, carefully cut with scissors. Even the serial number on a prescription bottle had been scratched away. The police ruled it a likely suicide, but almost nobody believed that was the whole story, because when they traced her final movements, the mystery only deepened. The suitcases had been left at a railway station luggage office in Bergen. Inside, investigators found Norwegian coins, foreign currency, and a comb from a hotel in Paris, and they found a notepad filled with a code no one could immediately read. When decoded, it turned out to be a record of the places she had traveled, and that record showed she had been moving across Europe for months. Checking in and out of hotels, each time under a different name. The names were false, but the people who saw her were real, and some of them remembered her clearly. Hotel staff across Norway described the same woman. Well-dressed, reserved, spoke several languages, including German, English, and French. She often asked to change rooms shortly after checking in, as if she didn't want to be predictable. She paid in cash, avoided having her photograph taken, and then she would disappear to the next city. But in the days before her death, witnesses noticed something new. She was not alone. She had been seen with a man, tall, dark-haired, described by some as possibly Italian or Southern European. They were seen together at a hotel, speaking in a language witnesses couldn't place. It was the kind of detail that turned a tragic case into something far larger. Because the picture forming was not of an ordinary traveler, the disguises, the languages, the fake names, the wiped fingerprints, to many it pointed in one direction: espionage. This was 1970. The Cold War was at its height, and Norway, bordering the Soviet Union, was full of watchful eyes. Some believed she had been watching Norwegian military testing along the coast. Others believed she was a courier or a defector or simply a woman running from something. But no government ever claimed her. No agency ever admitted knowing her name. More than 50 years later, she is still nameless. If you think a story like hers deserves to be remembered, a quiet like helps it reach the people still searching for her. For decades, the case went cold. The woman was buried in an unmarked grave in a zinc coffin. Police preserved the coffin on purpose, in case the future brought tools they didn't yet have. And in 2016, that future finally arrived. Norwegian investigators reopened the case using techniques that didn't exist in 1970. They had preserved her jawbone, and in her teeth, they found a kind of map. A technique called isotope analysis can read the chemical traces left in teeth as a person grows. Those traces record the water you drank and the food you ate as a child, and where in the world that was. The analysis suggested she had moved westward toward France as a child, possibly during or just before the Second World War. Her handwriting, studied separately, suggested she had learned to write in a French-speaking country. Her dental work was traced to several different countries: South America, East Asia, Central Europe. A woman whose own mouth held evidence of a life lived across continents. A full DNA profile was finally built. It showed she was of European descent. Investigators shared it with police forces across the continent, searching for a match. And after all of it, the teeth, the DNA, the handwriting, the decades of work, no match has ever been found. Somewhere out there, she has relatives who never knew what happened to her, a family that may still be alive, and may have no idea she ever existed under so many names. The Isdal Woman was buried in Bergen, far from wherever she was born. For years, local police laid flowers on her grave, a woman they never knew, mourned by strangers. Her case has inspired a major podcast, investigations across Europe, and thousands of amateur detectives, each one drawn by the same question that has gone unanswered for over half a century. Who was she? And what was so dangerous about her identity that she erased it herself? Whoever she was, whatever she was running from, she carried the answer into the Ice Valley and left it there. The woman with no name, still waiting to be found. Hollow files exist for the cases the world left unfinished, the names that were buried, and the ones that were never known at all. If hers stayed with you, my documentaries on the Lake Bodom case in Finland and the Setagaya mystery in Japan are waiting at the end of the screen. A new one arrives every Friday.